Only God knows the time of this event. People ask you about the hour. Say, God alone has knowledge of it. How could you, prophet, know? The hour may well be near. Every action that we perform during our lives is being recorded, and we will have to answer for everything we have said and done. On that day, people will come forward in separate groups to be shown their deeds. Whoever has done an atom's weight of good will see it, but whoever has done an atom's weight of evil will see that. In human court, some wealthy people try to avoid justice by bribing the judge or the police. Or perhaps they can hire a skilled attorney who can get them off the hook. However, on the day of judgment, there will simply be no escaping God's justice. Those who disbelieve and die disbelievers will not be saved even if they offer enough gold to fill the entire earth. Perhaps you are wondering if ultimately we are destined for the hereafter. Then what is the point of this life? Why not just skip this life and take us straight to the day of judgment? Let's think about an example in our world. Can you imagine if you went to sleep and woke up to find yourself in a courtroom accused of a crime you have no memory of committing? We would surely all protest at this and defend ourselves by saying we are innocent of such crimes. By living and experiencing our earthly lives here, when it comes to the day of judgment, we will recall all the deeds that we have to answer for, and will have no excuse before God. We will feel no sense of injustice because God sent us His messengers, and we were given the Quran as guidance. We will have no one to blame on that day except for ourselves. The day of judgment is just a means. It's not an end like with any trial. There is an outcome. Judgment will be passed on us by God. Those who believe in God and submitted to Him by following His guidance will be rewarded with eternal bliss in paradise, while those who believe and do good deeds will be the inhabitants of the garden, there to remain. For those who chose to reject God and His guidance, there is a terrible punishment in store, and for those who disbelieved in their Lord is the punishment of hell, and wretched is the destination. We have a choice to embrace God's eternal, unbounded mercy, or to run away from it, accepting His mercy by responding to His message and obeying, worshipping, and loving Him. Will facilitate our eternal happiness in paradise. Rejecting and running away from God's mercy will ultimately lead to spending eternity in a place devoid of His love. A place of unhappiness, hell. Remember, we have a choice. We decide to embrace His mercy or to escape. We have the free will to choose. The choices we make in this life will shape our fates in the eternal hereafter. You might find all this talk of test, the day of judgment, and paradise and hell overwhelming, but what we must all remember is that God is the most compassionate and most merciful. He has made it easy for us to be successful in the hereafter. If we really want to, how can this be the case? First, God has given us a consciousness, like an internal radar, which helps us distinguish right from wrong in order to help us steer our lives towards good. By the soul and how He formed it and inspired it to know its own rebellion and piety. When God puts our moral compass to the test, He tailors the test to each of us as individuals, taking into account our strengths and weaknesses. God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. God is perfect and free of error. However, He knows we are not. Therefore, when we fall short and make mistakes, He forgives us if we repent. My servants who have harmed yourselves by your own excess, do not despair of God's mercy. God forgives all sins. He is truly the most forgiving, the most merciful. When we do good deeds, they are much heavier on the scales compared to evil deeds. Whoever has done a good deed will have it 10 times to his credit, but whoever has done a bad deed will be repaid only with its equivalent. They will not be wronged. Finally, God has even sent us the detailed answers for how to pass the test in the form of the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, the Messenger of God, is an excellent model for those of you who put your hope in God and the last day and remember Him often. Let's combine all of these points and make an analogy with an exam that we might sit in this life. Have a think back to the last time you sat on an exam. It could be a school exam or even a driving test. Now, imagine if the examiner responsible for marking your examination made the following provisions for you in order to help you pass the exam. You have a lifetime to pass the exam.